Hi, and thank you for joining me on another episode of the Tech Exec Podcast, where I'll help you create teams worth leading, because life's too short to lead mediocre teams. As always, I'm your host, Aviv Ben-Yosef, advisor and coach of tech execs worldwide, and our subject today is segmentation faults. I don't know how much of a geek you are or were in the past, and therefore how familiar you are with the concept of segmentation faults. You don't have to be a coder to understand this. I'm going to get into it in a second. Before getting to that, I'm reminding you this is probably the last call on the podcast to let you know that I have a free live stream coming up, the new non-negotiables of tech leadership in 2026. It's free. If you sign up, you will be able to join live and ask questions live. If you cannot attend live, you will get the recording and a freebie ebook I've written about coaching. All of that just at the cost of scrolling down the show notes, clicking on the link, and signing up. That's it. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. And now let's talk about segfaults. Segfaults or segmentation faults. If you've been coding on Unix systems in the past, you probably have seen a segmentation fault or have caused it. It's what happens when we code a process wrong. It tries to do something that it's not allowed to do, and then it crashes. That's a seg fault. I've created quite a bunch of these in my past and have spent lots of time trying to debug it. That's before we moved on to languages that made it a bit easier. But I'm seeing seg faults in businesses. For example, we went with my kids to the McDonald's we have here nearby in Rome, and we realized that one could not purchase a Happy Meal because they ran out of the, gifts that you get, the surprises. And we were like, okay, we don't care about the surprise. We just want the burger. Okay, can we get the burger for the kids? No, I'm sorry. Yeah, we do have the burgers. We have the capacity of making the actual meal, but we cannot put the surprise in the box, and therefore we cannot sell you a Happy Meal. And we had to purchase something else. Even though, I told them, I don't care. I'm not going to complain. Just give me that burger for that price. Nope, no can do. Another example is that already in a few cafes, and yeah, this is a recurring theme. You probably have seen my episode about cafe lattes. We went to a few cafes and asked for, some sort of cafe, whatever. This coffee, that coffee, and sometimes we got responses like, I'm sorry, yes, I have all the ingredients. I can make the coffee as you would like it to, but I do not have that option in the computer. I'm like, what option? Just give me more ice. Whatever the drink you have, just give me that and give me some more ice, and I'll pay for the drink. No, sorry, I cannot do that. And sometimes we actually had to purchase a completely fragmented drink, like a shot of espresso, a cup of milk, just to put up the drink like we would like it to be, because they could not do it themselves. And I don't care what excuse you're thinking of. What I'm getting here, this is the seg fault. Something that for me as a user of the cafe or of McDonald's, I would expect this to happen as I'm saying it. I'm just asking for something that I know they can make. It shouldn't cost any more. It shouldn't be problematic, and I should get it. But I'm actually reaching some exception path, and I'm getting a seg fault. And in this case, it really ought not seg fault. And it's seg faulting because those teams do not have enough agency, don't have enough permission to just do the right thing. And as odd as it may sound, this is something that I'm seeing in so many organizations where employees don't know to what extent they have freedom to do things. You see employees who don't suggest all sorts of fixes, improvements, because they feel like, okay, I might be stepping on someone's toes. This is not what I'm supposed to do. This is not my role, even though they would like to do it, even though they see it. Or they see that there are issues and they say nothing because they're not sure they're supposed to. They're not sure it would be welcomed. And this is a seg fault that happens when we create these organizations without agency, without autonomy, and we have good people who can see where things are illogical, who can spot opportunities, who can do something good, and yet they have not the ability to do so because either the organization has put it in their minds that they cannot do it, or the organization hasn't helped them realize that it is possible, even if you didn't do anything deliberately, intently to make them think, no, you cannot do that. If you did not provide them with the clear permission, for some people, that by itself is a gap. That's something that stops them. So what do we want to do? We want to ensure that people understand how much agency and autonomy they have so they don't segfault when things happen, when the business can keep on running well. And we know what happens when there's a segfault. The process crashes, you're going to have to start debugging. In most companies, what this means when you segfault, when your employees segfault, it means that we're going to have to escalate. You're going to have to call someone, maybe yourself, one of the managers. We're going to have to talk about things. It's going to take longer. No one's going to be happy. There's going to be some meetings involved. It's never a good thing if we segfault for no good reason. So what we want to do is to make it clear for people what the boundaries really are. Provide them with more guidelines and defaults that will allow them to have more freedom. When I know what the boundaries really are, then I can with certainty know I can move within them without stepping on anyone's toes. So when you say, if you notice an issue, speak up, that gives me permission to do that, and therefore the team is more likely to do the right thing. When you give me a set of values that will help me understand what are we doing and why we're doing it. So when a client asks for something, when someone from products, someone from marketing asks for something that's not specifically as we had agreed to do, it's not specifically what I currently had planned for my daily, whatever it is, when I have the right sets of values, then I can understand what we can do and how to approach it. I can understand what the possibilities really are. And for example, I can tell myself, they're asking me to do that. I can escalate and wait and see what happens over the next weekly roadmap session. It's going to get planned. Or I can say, I know this is important. I know that it's going to take me probably another 30 minutes. So I'm just going to take on the autonomy and say, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to find those 30 minutes. I'm going to do it even without going and asking for permission, and all of that. We're just going to get it done. Sometimes that's what you need, and you don't get that because people do not have the permission, or you actually gave them the signal, the message that they don't have permission, which is worse. Either way, let's reduce the number of segfaults we have in our organizations by giving people more liberty, more ownership, more accountability, more autonomy, so they can start making those decisions, and then we're going to correct. The vast majority of the cases, it's better to have them make a decision that's not the perfect decision and course correct, as opposed to having all of those decisions segfault and wait till we come and clean things up. It's much better to have an organization that just moves forward, and you just need to set the boundaries, set the real exceptions, that it's clear that no, this is a matter that requires escalation, as opposed to having it flipped over where essentially everything requires escalation unless said otherwise. We want to be much, much more liberal. We want people to know that they can do most things, and only the specific things that we have said require escalation. Only those require asking for permission, asking for more clarification. And most of the time, we count on our brilliant people's judgment, because we spent such a big effort bringing them in, choosing the right people, onboarding them, coaching them, guiding them, training them. Why would we not have them be more autonomous? That's it for this week. Thank you for joining me. This, again, connects to one of the themes in the free live stream we're going to get to, because the new non-negotiables of tech leadership in 2026 include being able to create this sort of leverage with your team. You cannot be doing everything for everyone all at once. You have to create a team that can move faster by itself. This is one of the ways of getting there. If you want to get some more, again, link in the show notes, as well with a link to my newsletter where you're going to get this podcast, a video, an article, some freebies every week. Check it out, and I'll see you here next week. Ciao.